Welcome back, mathletes. So we have our second day of solving one-step inequalities. Our focus today will be mostly on simplifying those inequalities first by combining those like terms, a skill that we've used before in our equations chapter. And then we'll also focus on real-life situations or story problems. Once we have them written, then we'll go back and we'll use those inverse operations to solve them. And of course, we'll graph that solution set because inequalities have more than one value that makes them true. Remember, when we're writing inequalities, we want to set it up with our variable, our operation of add, subtract, multiply, or divide with some kind of value or number, then our not equal to sign, and our total will be on the other side all by itself. So this is going to be the format that we use when we're writing inequalities for real-world situations. The first thing we'll do is we'll just do a little bit of simplifying our inequalities, and then we'll use that inverse to solve. So I notice that I have 7 x's plus 3 more x's, and those groups of x's can be combined as terms because they both have the same variable. Well, 7 x's in one hand and 3 more x's in the other hand really give me 10 groups of x. Now that I have my terms simplified, the rest of my inequality has already been written, and I'm ready to show my inverse. So the opposite of multiplying by 10 is to divide by 10. Both sides of my inequality. So notice that I took out my structure or my format, but if you personally feel that it's helpful for you to have those that style or that setup as an organizer, go for it. The 10s cancel out because they're opposites, but this x variable is now the only thing left on the left. My inequality sign slides down the wall as a less than or equal to, and 80 divided by 10 is really just 8. Now that I have it solved, I'm ready to graph that solution set. So I'm going to start around 8 on my number line, just approximate. Because it could be equal to 8, I'm going to close it in to include 8 as part of the good answers. X could be 8. And I'm going to go left for less. Left, 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 left. So I've got a closed circle on 8 heading left as my solutions. Any number that I run over would go in place of my x variable here or in the original unsimplified problem, and it would still make this inequality true. We'll give you one that causes us to simplify first and then solve with an inverse. We'll pause the video while you work. Let's see how you did. I hope you saw that the 12y and the 4y could be combined through addition, and there's really just 16 y's there. We still have our same inequality sign, and our inverse is going to be the opposite of multiplying y by 16, which is to divide by 16. Notice how it's shown on both sides. If you want that inequality wall, draw it in there. The 16s are opposites on the left, so that isolates the y variable. Same inequality sign, and then we really just solve the side on the right. 128 divided by 16 is really just 8 in value. So to graph it, we're going to start our solutions on 8. We're going to keep our circle open though because we're not including 8, but we are going to include everything greater than 8, so we want to head to the right with our arrow. How'd you do on all these steps? Step 1, inverse step 2, solve it step 3, and graph the answer step 4. So this one's got a little bit of simplified, but it's also one of those tricky inequalities because it's written backwards. So I'm going to simplify first, and then I'll flip the whole thing around. 9k take away 5k leaves me with just 4k. But because it's written in reverse, I'm going to move my 4k to the left, my 4 to the right, but remember I have to flip the symbol over. So it starts off as a less than. But if 4 is less than this, then this must be greater than 4. Now that it's written and simplified, I'm ready to go for the inverse. And the opposite of multiplying k by 4 is to divide it by 4. The 4's cancel out on the left, which isolates the variable k. The greater than symbol stays in between them. And 4 divided by 4 is really just 1. My solution is all numbers bigger than 1. And that could even mean like a 1.1 or a 1.00001. Anything bigger than 1 is going to make this problem true. To show all these solutions, I'm going to graph starting at 1 with an open circle because we're not including 1, but anything right of 1 is greater and would be a good value. 2 would work, 10 would work, 100 would work, 1,000 would work. We'll give you another one to try. We'll pause the video while you complete all 4 steps. So if we simplified our terms first, 6m's take away 2m's really leaves you with just 4m's. But because this one was written with the variable on the right, I'm going to flip the whole thing around so that my variable stays on the left side. It'll be easier for me to graph and I'll make less mistakes this way. Sometimes if we think that it's something like 3 is less than m, if we don't reverse it, we might run our graph to the left because the arrow points us in that direction. But if we spin it around, you'll see it's actually the right we want to travel where the greater numbers live. So on this, we would have done 4m is less than or equal to 16. Our inverse would have been to divide by 4 on both sides. It can be shown with the division symbol like this or just the fraction bar like this. Remember that these 4's cancel out. Don't give them a value of 16. M is my variable that remains, and a 16 divided by 4 is really just a 4. So our solution ends up being all numbers less than or equal to 4. So the graph would have started on the digit 4, then a closed circle because it includes 4 based on the symbol, and heads left where the numbers that are smaller than 4. So any number less than or equal to 4 will make this problem true. How'd you do on that? My next skill involves something where we're looking for values that are actual solutions to both of these. So my first inequality is going to have a set of numbers that work for it. My other inequality will have a different set of numbers that will work for it. And I'm only looking for solutions that both have in common. So I'm going to solve them both separately. N divided by 3, well, the opposite is to multiply by 3 on both sides. These 3's cancel out, which isolates my variable n, less than or equal, and 3 times 3 is just 9. All numbers less than or equal to 9 make this true. I'm going to graph this one in pink. So on my number line, if I just put some numbers here, I'm going to start at 9. I'm going to include 9 because it could be equal to 9. Close that in to include 9. And I'm going to travel left with my pink arrow to show all these. Now I'm going to try my other inequality. 6 multiplied by something is greater than 18. So I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying that f variable by 6, which is to divide it by 6. Show it on both sides of this not equal sign. The 6's cancel out, and the f variable remains. And this one's going to be all numbers greater than 3, because 18 divided by 6 is just 3. I'm going to graph this inequality solution in green. So I have my numbers on the number line. I'm going to use the same number line so I can see where they overlap. Overlapping solutions mean they're answers to both. So anything greater than 3 looks like an open circle on 3 heading to the right, and the solutions to both kind of fit in this range right here, where the 3 overlaps with the 9, any value in there. And it doesn't have to be just a whole number. It could be a 4.5. It could be a 5.5. It could be an 8. It could even be a 9, because 9 is closed in. It's included in both. But it can't be a 10, because that's outside of that zone. And it even can't be a 3, because although it works for this solution, it's not included in the other solution. And all other numbers outside that range are also not included. So by graphing, I can see the solutions to both fit in this portion of the graph. We'll give you one like that to try as well. Remember, if we solve both and graph both, even if you use maybe 2 separate colors, you'll see where they overlap. We'll pause the video while you work on this skill. So your first inequality had the solution that d is less than or equal to 10. Your second inequality has the solution that d is less than 9. So if we graphed both of these correctly, you can see they have a lot in common. Basically, they kind of start around this 9 area, and anything left is going to work for both of these because they're both heading in the same direction. How'd you do? Were you able to show all the answers that work for both of these inequalities? Now it's time for some story problems. Here's what we know. A wheelbarrow can carry up to 300 pounds. Does that mean we have to put 300 pounds in it for it to work? No, it just means we shouldn't go over 300 pounds, or we might break the axle on the wheelbarrow. It's kind of like the idea behind an elevator. There's only so much weight that an elevator can hold. And if you go over that weight limit, you risk having some serious complications for the people on the elevator. The bags of soil that we're going to carry weigh 20 pounds apiece. So our question is, how many bags of soil could we hold? Well, I'm going to write my inequality. I know that my variable is how many bags. And I'm going to choose B for bags. I could have also chosen S for soil. The operation here is going to be a multiplication idea. And I'm going to multiply because each bag has a certain group of weight repeated over and over and over. It's this 20-pound value. Now, if it can carry up to 300, up to means that's the maximum we can handle. So I'm going to choose the less than or equal because it can carry 300. It just should not go over. Notice how I wrote it with my total pounds on one side. The other side of my inequality looks like B times 20 or 20 times B or just 20B. Now I'm ready for my inverse. The opposite of multiplying by 20 is divide by 20. What I do to one side, I better do to the other. The 20s cancel out, but the variable B for bags is still here. Less than that or equal to that. And 20, how many 20s go into 300? 15. Now I'm going to label this 15 bags. I could carry up to 15 bags of soil. I'm going to graph this to show my solution. Starting around 13, 14, 15, maybe even 16 on the number line, my solutions start at 15. They include 15 because that would be exactly the 300-pound weight limit. Otherwise, I better go less than 15 bags. I could carry 13. I could carry 10 bags. I could even put one bag or half of a bag. But I definitely don't want to go over 15 bags because I risk busting the wheelbarrow. We'll give you a story situation to try as well. Make sure you pay attention to the format for writing your inequalities so you'll be able to show an inverse when solving. We'll pause the video while you look through your situation and follow the steps. Let's see how you did. Check to see if you wrote your inequality correctly. Your inequality should have been written with a variable plus 185 or 185 plus a variable. I chose T to represent tickets. Your inequality symbol would have been the less than or equal because we have the idea of maximum. And maximum means that's the most. So we can be exactly at 480 tickets. But otherwise, we'd have to be less than that. Because if they sell more than that, then there won't be any seats for the people to sit in. The total was 480. Our inverse was subtract 185. Did you remember to show it on both sides? The variable solves to have a value of 295 or less. So the graph needs to be around 295. Close circle to include 295 would be a sold out show for this school play. Otherwise, less and less and less would be okay too. They would just have some empty seats in the auditorium. How'd you do on that one? Are you comfortable writing your inequalities for real world situations? Well, the last thing for us to do is to practice and see how you're doing. So, happy practicing.